meaningful change comes from evidence-based, data-driven solutions, not from good intentions. We have to apply the scientific method to human behavior change and really define what it means to help effectively. And once we've done that, we've got to optimize it and scale it to create lasting impact. To really change the world, we have to sit with those the world does not sit with, see those the world does not see, and sew ourselves into the broken fabric of society. But what's the why, the how, and the what in doing exactly that? And in this video, we're going to go over what it really means to make a data-driven, evidence-based difference in the world and to create wealth for the wealthless. We need a strong grounding basis. And I look to the Judeo-Christian ethic for this. There's a beautiful story where God is rebuking a king for being malicious and not doing justice. And when he is rebuking this king, he speaks towards his father. And he says that, no, hold on. Your father was not the type of king you were. And it actually is the most explicit verse we can find in the Bible about what it means to know God. It says he defended the cause of the poor and the needy, and so it went well. Is that not what it means to know me, declares the Lord? Next to where the Bible speaks about the end of days, and the standard that is applied for whether people are welcomed in or not.
For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. Sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. And the righteous will say to him, Lord, when did we see you in these types of states? And he says to them, when you did so to the least of these, you did so for me.
And then finally in the book of James, where we see the definition of religion, to look after the orphans and widows in distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. And so that is our why, because we need a strong basis from which to work on. But now getting into the how, I'll share with you a tool that we use in impact entrepreneurship and social development to figure out how change specifically occurs. And we call it the theory of change. It has inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, and then impact. The inputs are the physical resources that you use. That can be a building, employees, course material. The activities are the actual actions taken, and this might be a workshop that you do with somebody. Then the outputs that are the direct results from that. The person might learn a particular skill. Maybe they get a certificate. The outcomes are the changes in the participants or the system that you see. So maybe a result of that is that the person gets a job of sorts. And then the impact is the long-term effects of what that job has maybe done for a family. And now the important thing is when you're building a business that wants to change the world, you have to keep these things in mind. But further than that, you have to measure at every single level. You have to measure the inputs, what you put into it. Measure the activities, how many people are attending. Measuring the outputs, how many people are learning something after these activities. Measuring the outcomes, what's actually happening after people have acquired these skills. And what actual impact does it have on a person, a family, or a nation. Now, why respond in this way and not another way? Well, Cape Town did a first of its kind study called the Cost of Homelessness Study, mapping out exactly how much homelessness costs Cape Town as a whole. Everything from that R2 that you give out to someone at the robot to the criminal justice system that polices the homeless and those in poverty. And what we found is that there are three broad responses to homelessness and poverty as a whole. You can have the punitive response in which you police the issue. You can have the aid response in which you just respond to the immediate issue, and the developmental response in which you journey with the person to them transcending their circumstances. And the thing about these responses is that it depends how you see the person, what response you will give. Because if you see the person as a threat, the punitive response is justified. If you see the person as a victim, then the aid response is justified. But if you see the person as being made of true worth and value, as somebody that can take responsibility for themselves, you'll do the developmental response. And that's why we need to look at evidence-based, data-driven solutions to the world's problems. So now we've covered why we do things, we've looked at how we do things, but now what do we actually do? And now for this, I turn to the Inkathalu conversations. Inkathalu being a word to deeply sit with, to cry with, to empathize with, somebody that is in pain. This was a 7-week process. Every single day, moderated conversations with different people representing different sectors of society regarding homelessness. And key to this conversation is that those with lived experiences of homelessness were represented here. And in the section where they asked people with lived experiences of homelessness, how should people in the community best respond? This was the first response mentioned. It is the lack of understanding and education. How can you help me if you don't know what I need? Not what I want, but what I need to develop myself out of this situation. Yes, it will come from myself, but then what do I do when everybody is thinking, oh, nah, it's just another beggar? Now, what you need to understand is there isn't a simple script I can give you as to how specifically to respond to all situations of poverty. But what I can do and what we can learn from this statement is that proximity to the problem is the first step. I heard it was said at a funeral that the greatest present you can give is your presence in a situation. And I've heard it said from so many homeless people that have transcended homelessness is that the thing that meant the most to them when they were on the street wasn't food that people gave them, wasn't programs that they were on, but it was when ordinary people took time out of their day to spend time with them. It was through those ordinary interactions that people actually saw, wow, this is a person behind this situation. And well and truly, a best response is needed, an industry-based response, an evidence-based response in order to solve the problem. And if we're looking at this comment, we can see that we need to help in helpful ways, not in unhelpful ways. Our helping can be hurtful to somebody if we don't know what is best in a situation. And if you want to know how to help in the best way possible, I'm creating an experience for people to learn how to make the world a better place. Come alongside CEOs of big businesses and NGOs and see what it takes to create real value. Come alongside architects and engineers that are busy designing spaces for change, and come sit next to movement leaders that have helped shape policy in our country and across the world. There's a link below that you can check out for that. And now, if you've made it to the end of this video, I'm looking forward to changing the world with you.